Hello everybody and welcome. This is it. This is the Bitcoin video to watch from now on to reference whenever you like to know everything you need to know about Bitcoin from beginning to end, from beginner novice to advanced expert. This video is about what Bitcoin is, why it fills a niche in the market, and how to make money from it. That's what we're going to cover. To understand Bitcoin, we need to understand it as a part of a market. Because if we're trying to make money in the market, we got to understand the drivers of the market. We got to contextualize Bitcoin, why it's necessary, why people find it valuable, and then we can exploit that value to make money. A quick history of currency, because Bitcoin is a type of currency, or at least that's the level it's trying to participate in. Currency started with what? Trading whatever. A nice coat, you could trade that for something else. Maybe somebody needed a piece of bread, boom, boom, boom. That's a type of trade. You could say the coat was a currency at the time, right? And then we evolved to a point where we now give money to people for services instead of trading items. So currency evolves. It goes from trading goods to trading gold. And then up to a point, the pieces of paper that was $1 was directly tied to gold in your bank account because it got a little bit cumbersome to carry around bags of coins full of gold. Imagine if you're trying to do a huge project, you need to have like 14 different huge wagons carrying gold around. Okay, it got very cumbersome. So the government created paper so that way you don't need 14 different carriages and a bunch of horses to give gold to somebody who might get robbed. Anything could happen, right? You might lose the gold, whatever. So the paper currency was backed with gold. Now this also had a problem, and the problem was that there's too many people to have everyone backed by gold. There's only a limited gold amount or gold supply in the world. So then the government created what's called fiat currency. It's basically currency, and I'm sure you guys probably know this, but I have to explain this just to give context to the situation. And it's currency that the government promises is valuable. You have to just trust the government. Now, it is very beneficial in terms of the old types of currency we had to have fiat currency, right? Because now you can trade freely with people. You don't need gold in your bank account, and there's a bank and a government ledger that keeps track of every transaction to approve of it and to make sure everything's validated. So what is the next iteration, right? We went from trading goods to trading gold and rare minerals with inherent value to trading fiat currency. And Bitcoin is an evolution of currency. It's a new way. It's a revolution on how to make different transactions with people. What are the benefits of currency in the crypto world? For one, it is decentralized, meaning you no longer need a government to tell you this is valuable. You no longer need a bank to keep a ledger, like Bank of America or Wells Fargo or whoever you bank with, right? They have a ledger, and they keep track of the transactions that happen between two individual people. These ledgers are hackable. The bank can freeze your account. The government can freeze your account. The government can seize your assets if you do something illegal. X, Y, and Z. The government can do whatever you want, right? At the end of the day, the money technically is not yours. It is a legal tender issued by the government. So Bitcoin gives you full control of your money. That's why it's decentralized. The way it is decentralized is through a network of Bitcoin miners. That's how they're known. But really, it's just a bunch of supercomputers all over the world. There's hundreds of thousands of them that approve transactions between two people giving Bitcoin to each other. You would have to hack every single computer, or at least over 50% of these computers, to be able to access your Bitcoin wallet, let's say. All that means is your Bitcoin is a lot safer in your Bitcoin wallet than it is in your bank account. Also, Bitcoin currency cannot be devalued. Why? Because there's a set amount of Bitcoin. There is 21 million Bitcoin, period. There is no more Bitcoin above 21 million. Also, Bitcoin is open to everybody. You do not need to be a part of the government. You don't need a social security. You don't need X, Y, and Z. You just need to be a human being with fingers and be alive and have internet access to access Bitcoin. Okay? It is open to everyone. It is open source. You don't need any huge government institution. You don't need any banks to certify anything. It tries to give you as much control as possible without needing a middleman. So those are the basic Advantages of Bitcoin, the basic benefits, right? Most of you probably know the stuff I already mentioned. So let's get into the Bitcoin value and how to make money from it, why it's going to make you rich or not rich or whatever it may be. This is the fun part, okay? So to understand the value of Bitcoin, we need to understand that there is a set amount of Bitcoin, period. There's no more Bitcoin after 21 million. 21 million is the tippity top, it's the roof. 21 million is the total Bitcoin ever created. Okay, now we have mined over 18 million of that, right? And as you can see here, you can see how the mining process started, right? It started in 2009, and slowly over time, we mined more and more Bitcoin using supercomputers that have the ability to correct different hashes, which are just really insane algorithms or puzzle pieces they put together. And whether you can put this randomized number together, they get a Bitcoin out of it. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. And that's why they have these crazy supercomputers sifting through all that data to get the Bitcoin. So over time, it will take more and more Bitcoin, but the more mining that's done and the more mining computers that are introduced into the Bitcoin environment to mine it, the less Bitcoin is given. This is called the halving cycle. And this is where it starts to get very interesting. I'm going to go to one of my favorite charts here when explaining Bitcoin, okay? And every 4 years, there's a cycle that happens. Every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin, these supercomputers, it doesn't even have to be supercomputers. You could connect your own phone, your own mobile device, anything to mine Bitcoin at your will, though the amount of electricity used to mine the Bitcoin will probably outweigh the cost of actually just buying it yourself. So there's really no point to do it. On a larger scale, it's a different story. But when it started here in 2009, and the first Bitcoin cycle at the bottom right here, we had 50 Bitcoin that were mined per block. And every 4 years, this is halved. So 4 years after that, in 2012, the price, look at the price. It goes from 10 cents. Imagine if you had bought 10 cents at 2009. Geez. From 10 cents all the way to $10. Then at 2012, the halving happened. And notice price doesn't go up immediately. But at 2012 to 2016, the price of Bitcoin goes from $10, roughly around $10, to around $658, closing at the cycle. Insane returns, especially when you think from going from 10 cents to 658. It does not stop there. Okay, after that second halving, meaning the miners all having these supercomputers get half amount of Bitcoin from the cycle before, so half of 25 Bitcoin per block is 12.5 Bitcoin per block. And if you're wondering how much Bitcoin is mined or how many blocks of Bitcoin are mined, it's a roughly 1 block every 10 minutes with all the aggregate computers combined. So looking at that, it started at 658 on 2016. At the end of 2012 or 2020, very recently here, it went to $8,572. This was May 2020. It did go above that, but it came back down with all the coronavirus situation. And this is actually where I got in, and we're over here past that on the 6.25 Bitcoin per block cycle. That's where we are right now, roughly $20,000 as of today. We're at like 19,000. How do we position ourselves? When do we buy it? When do we sell it, etc.? This chart will explain that to you. So this has all the halving cycles right here, and it's explained everything I told you. Every 10 minutes, you get 50 Bitcoin per block at the beginning there of 2009. So if we project into the future using the same ratios as before with the same models, right, and we're using history to precede itself here, if we look at this chart, we see there are phases to every halving cycle. There is a huge bull market that happens. Then there's a huge bear market that happens. And then after that, it consolidates in the middle. And then there's another mini bull market, and then it consolidates again. And then the cycle repeats itself. Every bull market happens around 6 months after the halving. So, boom, after the halving, Bitcoin becomes more scarce, therefore more valuable. Simple supply demand here. Goes up and up, and there's more hype. The more valuable Bitcoin gets, the more hype there is, more people start buying it, more institutions start seeing it as a legitimate way to, perform transactions. It becomes a legitimate transactional tool that creates these bull markets. Then it comes back down. Then it equalizes the middle, right? As this hype kind of dies down a little bit, people start losing money. All the smart money got in here. All the stupid money got in here, right? They sell. Everyone takes profits, and then we consolidate here, waiting for the next opportunity to buy and take advantage of this bull market. So looking at this chart, we can somewhat predict what we want to do. Now, I was lucky, guys. I bought Bitcoin around here, around the 6K mark, okay? It's at like $20,000 right now, right? And I bought a lot of Bitcoin, right? So looking at this chart, the natural progression is it will become rarer and rarer. Now, the part that I want to really harp on is that it will become rarer than gold's, like the growth rate. The amount of Bitcoin mined will be rarer than the amount of gold mined. Okay, and gold is kind of a competitor, you could say, or it has a similar function to Bitcoin as how's used today. Bitcoin, a lot of it is used like a savings account. It's almost like you keep your money there to keep it safe, and over time it'll grow. Same with gold. Gold is a place to go when there are inflationary pressures on the market. There are a lot of inflationary pressures, guys. The government is printing money, and it's going to keep printing money through QE, quantitative easing, meaning it's just going to give money and pump more money into the market. And as that happens, your dollar in your bank account loses value, right? You still have the same number in your bank account, but the stuff you can buy with that money is you lose some purchasing power, so you can buy less stuff with it. That's why smart money moves into gold. It moves into stocks. It moves into Bitcoin, right? It moves into these alternate ways to store your money that will actually increase your purchasing power. And that's what I'm learning now. And that's what I'm trying to teach you guys, right? So this is what I was talking about when it comes to the rarity of the gold supply. And this is just a way to conceptualize it here. The amount of new gold mined currently is less, or it's less than Bitcoin. So we're not here yet. We haven't crossed over this gross supply rate yet. But in the near future, when it goes from 6.25 per block here, and it halves again in the next halving cycle, it will go, and Bitcoin will become rarer to mine. Okay, at this point, 2024 onward, that's when people are saying Bitcoin could hit 1 million. This is why I call it the trade of the decade. Now, guys, this is all speculation. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm only a guy giving my opinions out and trying to teach people about currency and stocks and equities. But I don't follow my advice. I'm not a professional at all. Do your own research before you do any of this. Okay, I'm just relaying what I've seen and researched in the past, right? So you got to make a decision. Do you want to risk a couple $1,000s to maybe 10 times it? I know I am. When I look at the technology, I think it's good technology. I think it solves a lot of problems. The only things in the way are government institutions. They don't want their money undermined. You know, what's going to happen? We don't know. Does Congress and a lot of the people in power, do they even understand the Bitcoin and the technology behind it? I'm not sure. But at the very least, as a way to hedge yourself against inflation. So we've covered a little quick history of fiat currency and currency in general. We covered what Bitcoin is, a decentralized way to connect with people all over the world without needing an exchange rate, right? If I want to buy something from a guy from Russia, I could technically do it with Bitcoin without having to convert the dollar to rupees, rupees to dollar, needing government institutions to validate everything, right? I can just send stuff directly to him. It is anonymous also, so no one can see why I gave the guy what and who did what where. Okay, all they can see is a transaction that is transparent, and every single ledger of Bitcoin is available to everyone that wants to see it, and they can see exactly how much Bitcoin was transferred. They just can't see who, when, where, what, right, was given. So what do you guys think? Do you think Bitcoin's going to explode to over 100,000, to 1,000,000? To be honest with you, I don't know if it'll hit 1,000,000. I know it will hit at least 100,000, or I don't know it, but that's my prediction. And I have money in the line for that, and I hope to make some money in the next 4 years at the very least. Hopefully make 200, 300K, something like that. I don't know. And then we'll see from there. I might freak out and want to sell, to be honest with you. I don't know if I have the balls to hold to 1,000,000, but at that point, why not hold a freaking Bitcoin? You know, if I made this much money, period, I'll probably keep some Bitcoin in there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Love you. Bye.